say something like yoga. I can do yoga and not be there, right? My mind can be all over the planet. And I cannot know my breathing and sort of do a bit of stretching, which isn't really yoga. Or I can do yoga and really be with the posture, hold the breathing for spans of time. That's much more difficult. It's much easier to plan a revolution while you're doing yoga than to do the yoga, right? So I was thinking, if I had to do a repeated exercise every day, how could I employ that to bring me to the silence of the mind? That would be the challenge I would give myself. That would be the kind of intention I would make. Okay, so I have to do this particular exercise, and I could see that if the exercise is physically disturbing or physically unpleasant or boring or all those lovely things, that I just want to get it finished. Right, and I'd be geared to trying to get this thing out of the way. Now, if I have to do something for an hour, no matter what, the hour is the hour, right? And that wanting to get it to the end, wanting to get it finished, is a state of mind. So in mindfulness practice, I would try to know not only the physical exercise or discipline I have to do for the hour, I'd also try to say, well, what's the state of mind here? And is it skillful or is it unskillful? And if I invest in the unskillful, it'll give me an unskillful result. And I'd try to watch. What is the result in my mind of doing something? Not just my body. What's the result in my mind? Does it give me a result which is calming, which is peaceful? Or does it give me a result of, oh, I'm glad I'm finished that? Because if I do that, I'm glad I'm finished with that, then the next time I go to that, I'm going to be coming up with the same mind state. Oh, I have to do this again. And I'm not mindful of that. And if I'm not mindful of that, I keep compounding this kind of stress in the mind, mental stress. And I don't have to do that. I can train the mind. Now, if you took this idealistically and you thought I was saying, oh, you should enjoy your exercise, then if I said that, you'd probably punch me. You should enjoy this. That's idealism and it's smarmy. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like, I don't enjoy this. And what does it feel like not to enjoy something? Yeah? What's it really like as a mind state? Standing under the suffering. What's that really like to be totally bored with this? And to really know it. And not go to the narrative. Not go to the storyline. To stay in the present moment with this bodily mental phenomenon called whatever it is. And just be with that. And in that beingness, you begin to see that awareness or mindfulness is bigger than the whole thing. You have space. And because you have space, you can make a choice to maybe not think that way. Maybe look at the bodily tension that the mental factors are creating. Right? You have a choice. And if you make a skillful choice and you get a skillful result, you're starting to play the cello. You're starting to develop your mind, aren't you? Each step you're doing that. And if you do that for a whole hour every day, you've got an hour's meditation. But you're training the mind too. So then you get a kind of interesting challenge. You got this onerous task you have to do, but you also have this kind of neat challenge of the inner world. All right, I'm going to try to do this and not suffer. Or I'm going to try to notice the cause of the suffering. Or I'm going to try to make skillful choices. And then it becomes... it takes a different dimension. Now, going back to idealism is really very dangerous, I found. When I went into the monastery, my mind was a mess. I sort of just mucked about the planet, and I hadn't disciplined it and anything. And I read these lovely tracts on compassion and, compassion for all beings. Oh, it's lovely. It's just lovely. Of course, I hated the monk next to me. And I wanted the teacher to shut up so I'd go to sleep or whatever. So I had this terrible, this idealism. I'm a Buddhist monk now. And then the reality of a grumbling mind and dreaming about yogurt or whatever, totally uninspiring stuff in the mind. And as long as I stayed with the idealism, I just got heavy on myself. Oh, you shouldn't be like this. You're a Buddhist monk now. But that wasn't really mindful. That was just self-disparaging. You know, just kind of, and it didn't make me happy. So I'd go to my teacher. He said, well, what do you expect? You haven't trained the mind. Just endure. Well, thanks a lot. And so I began to train the mind. And so then I had this monk next to me who was a fabulous meditator. He just could zip into full lotus, and you know, I thought he was in heaven or something. And I was sort of falling asleep, and I just got really jealous of him. You know, I said, I hope you wreck your knee. Terrible thought. And then I said, wait. This is the feeling of being intimidated. This is a feeling of intimidation. This is a feeling of aversion. It feels this way. So then I began to see how to get out of the narrative and really know, okay, this is a feeling of feeling pathetic or whatever. And that's a feeling. That's just an object. I am not that object. I am not pathetic. There is just pathetic. And I begin to see that that's not who I really am. That mood or that emotion or that changing thing is something that has a cause. And if I don't put the energy into it anymore, that cause will end, and I'll be free from that. And that requires a lot of patience. Like when you have negative things coming up, if you just idealize it and think you shouldn't be like that, you'll go into self-disparagement. Right? You start hating yourself. It doesn't work. If you don't do anything, then you become a victim to that. But the middle way is that you can see, okay, this is a negative feeling. I'm not going to pursue that. I'm going to just be aware of it. I'm going to be patient with it. You can, like, if you take something like anger, that has a mental component and a physical component. If you know the physical component of anger and you bear witness to the physical component, you don't feed anger anymore. And that anger as an energy begins to dissipate because you're not giving it power. If I take anger and then I feed it with thought, either hate myself or hate the person and believe in it, self-identify with it, then I feed the anger. I become an angry being. To know anger as anger is different than being angry. And to see the mind as a project rather than a punishment, right? To see it as a beautiful thing you can develop rather than just being thrown around by it. This is a lovely way to kind of give perspective to the mind, to the heart.